welcome to A Balanced Life. I'm Patricia, and I'm so thrilled to be here with you, creating community around one of my favorite topics, which is self care. You know, when I first came to YouTube, searching out videos around self care, a lot of the content was around skin routines or outfits to wear, and that content is a lot of fun and very informative, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I've been also, though, searching for content that helps deal with our inner self care, our mental, our emotional, and our physical well being. You know, once you reach 50, so for those of us in our 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s, a lot of change is happening. We're at this extraordinary time in our lives. There are a lot of things that are out of our control, but we do know there are things that we can control. That being said, a lot is shifting, a lot is changing in all these aspects of our lives. And I guess, the best way that I know how to alleviate some of the challenges and then also bring some vitality and vibrancy and excitement into this chapter is to share practices and tips and tricks with each other. Self-care is supposed to feel good. Sometimes self-care it comes from a place of conflict or challenge when we feel like we're up against something. And again, that can be physically, mentally, or emotionally. And that can be a really frustrating place to start. But self-care feels good. It's supposed to help alleviate some of these practices. So, what is self-care? Well, there are a few things I know for sure about self-care. First of all, self-care is individual. It's specific to each of us. It's not a race. You don't get to be the best at self-care. You get to be the best at self-care for yourself. There's no competition. Every practice is just that, a practice. The act of doing self-care is, in fact, self-care. The act of being in a practice is in itself a practice. So that's for sure one thing I know about self-care. The other thing is that it's always evolving. So what I need on a Monday is not the same thing as I need on a Saturday. What I need in the winter is not the same as what I need in the summer. So I've created and am still creating a toolkit, as I like to call it. Really, it's like a stack of resources that I pull upon as I need them, depending upon the challenges I'm having in my day or the kinds of things I want to bring into my life. Maybe I need to work on self-regulation. Maybe I just need to learn how to alleviate some anxiety, or maybe it's just thinking about ways I can enjoy my physical health in a way that speaks to me and feels good for me. The other beautiful thing about self-care is that it is cumulative. So if I'm working on a practice today, let's say a breathing practice that brings in some mindfulness, it will alleviate the challenge if I'm having, let's say, a mental challenge, something concerning me, or anxiety. If I can breathe and work through these ruminating thoughts with some breath work, then in that moment it alleviates me. But also there's an accumulative effect over time. If I'm able to practice some mindfulness every day, in the long term, I have a physiological positive effect to that. That being said, self-care does not replace any mental, physical, or emotional health that you receive from a professional. Okay, self-care are the things that we can do for ourselves. And actually, seeking professional help if you need it is in itself an act of self-care. Okay. So I just wanted to make that clear, that these practices that we're sharing and the information that I'm hoping you'll share with me as well, they're really just ideas and maybe a different way to think about how we bring self-care into our lives. So, what is self-care? I heard a definition that said self-care is the act of reclaiming and regaining our autonomy. Now, in our 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, we frankly won the lottery by making it this far. That being said, all of us have faced some challenges, some hurdles, some setbacks. Could be emotional, financial, physical, mental, could be all of those things. And yet we're here. We may be limping, we may be sprinting, right? But we've made it. And now we're looking for, okay, we've got a beautiful road ahead of us. And how can we live a life of joy and have these moments of relief and release and really things to look forward to in this exciting next chapter? Our best doesn't have to be over. Our best can still be yet to come. There's a lot of inspiring stories that we can find and read about people who have, broken the longevity records. And I think that is exciting. What I'm looking for as well are the stories of the people who are leading deep, rich lives for themselves. And you get to decide that on your own terms. So what I'm hoping for with this channel is that we're going to build a community together. I'm really looking forward to hearing your comments and your thoughts about how you bring self-care into your life. We're going to share those together, and I'm hoping to share some of your tips as well on the videos, and that way really create a discussion and conversation around self-care in our 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Now, this channel is for anybody who's interested in self-care, for sure. But I have to say, it will be really focused and leaning towards as well those of us who are over our 50s, because frankly, we have some unique needs. Our physical changes are happening, mental changes have happened. We're going through probably some, if not a lot, of emotional upheaval. Some of us have raised children and now they've flown and are living their own lives. Some of us have raised children and they're still at our homes. Some of us have aging parents and we're their main caregivers. Others of us have faced the loss of parents. Friends have changed. Maybe they've moved. I mean, life goes on, doesn't it? But what I'm sure of is that if you had any or all of those aspects of your life up until now, a lot of your day was spent thinking about the needs of others. And let's not even talk about working full time, right? You may still be working well into your 60s, 70s, and even 80s. That's just frankly the state that our economy and some of us are finding ourselves in, right? So there's no wrong place. It's just where you are is where we start, right? Again, self-care is incredibly individual, and I'm going to keep coming back to that because that individuality is actually empowering. Knowing what I want and need for myself feels incredibly powerful, and I get to voice and make those choices when I can. There's a lot that is out of our control right now, and always there's a lot that is out of our control in our lives. But there are things I do get to choose. I can choose what I eat for breakfast. I'm lucky I get to have breakfast every day. I can choose that. Maybe I choose the kind of coffee I want to drink. Now, that may seem like a small, inconsequential choice. But if I'm trying to look after my physical health, then I'm being mindful of what I'm eating in the morning that's going to help me live optimally through the day. Okay? I'm not going to be training for a marathon. I hope you are, and I hope that gives you great joy. I know I won't be, but I do need to be able to move. I do want to be able to enjoy long walks in this gorgeous weather. I want to be able to meet up with friends and do things. I want to have the physical ability to the best of my own abilities. And again, we all have different scales of that. So self-care is individual and unique just to you. It's powerful and empowering. All right. Some other things to think about with self-care. When you're thinking about your own self-care, you bring in mindfulness, a lot of reflection. We think about values. Maybe there's thinking about community, a lot about boundaries, and then using our voices for choice. So all of those terms are going to come up a lot in our conversations. And I'm looking forward to, as I said, in the future, to be exploring each of these and thinking about how we can incorporate our thoughts around our values and mindfulness and community, and how that can enrich our lives and our own sense of ourselves each day. What I'd also love to do is with each video share a practice. So the first practice that we're going to share today is a breathing exercise. Now, breathing is probably the easiest way to access some self-care into your life. There's a mindfulness practice that goes with that. And how that helps is that, it stops that active brain happening, the constant rumination that can go on. Or if you're like me, you've got a very busy mind and you're always thinking 1 or 2, 3 steps ahead. Okay? What breathing exercises do, and this one in particular, it calms our mind because we have to focus on our counting. So what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in through the count of 4 through our nose and exhale through the count of 5 through our mouth. Now, when we're counting and we're thinking about breathing through our nose, hard to think about anything else but those 2 things. Same with the exhale. We'll be very mindful of our counting, and we're exhaling a little bit longer. So when you inhale through your nose, it's a little fresher, feels lighter, it's a bit cleansing. And when you exhale through your mouth and you exhale a little bit longer, that's where the sigh happens. That's the relief, the release. It feels good. And if you exhale a little bit longer, then that stale air from inside, that lower in your lungs, gets pushed out. We're going to repeat it 3 times. Now, you can do this practice in your car. You can do this practice at home. You can just breathe in through 4 and exhale through 5, and that practice works too. Just for our purposes today, we're going to do it inhaling for 4, exhaling for 5, 3 different times. And I'm going to count it through for us, and you can close your eyes, you can look at me, you can get all soft focused. I'm going to look at you though. And we're going to inhale for 4 and exhale for 5. Here we go. Inhale 1. Exhale 5. Inhale 1. Exhale 5. Inhale 1. Exhale 5. That is my favorite breathing exercise, and I've done it so often as a practice that it helps me in the moment, but also now there's a cumulative effect. So what I mean is I can inhale and exhale a little bit longer, and I am self-regulated. What I mean by self-regulated is I feel a little bit more in control. I do this practice at a stoplight. Okay, I'll do it at a stop sign when traffic is getting a little bit out of control. It just helps calm me down emotionally for sure, but also mentally, and just brings me back to that centered place of where I am right now. Okay. The other thing I love about it is that when I'm in a presentation, let's say, or even speaking to you right now by video, when I breathe in and out like that, it grounds me. It calms my breath. I start to breathe when I get excited. I'm breathing from the top of my chest, right? Not taking good deep breaths. My voice is a little higher. I'm speaking a little bit fast. I stumble over my words. This breathing exercise grounds me with my feet on the ground, seated in this chair. Those deep breaths, I feel far more present. I've been doing self-care and researching self-care for almost 10 years. For the last over 5, I've been presenting to big groups, small workshops all around self-care. And what I have found the most effective and most constant and consistent element of every single workshop and every single presentation is the sharing of ideas. So I'm inviting you to add into the comment section of the channel any ideas and thoughts you have around your practices for self care that you think we would all benefit from. I'm also interested in your questions, and we can explore those together. So, thank you so much for being here on our self care journey. I'm looking forward to building community with you and to seeing, how we can build vibrancy together for this next exciting chapter of our lives. Thank you so much. Have a fabulous day and do something kind for and to yourself.